Hello everyone, welcome to the Sleeping Times channel. Tonight, we bring you a unique journey that will transport you directly to the sacred banks of the Nile, where you will follow a full day in the life of one of the most respected and privileged professionals of ancient Egypt. Imagine waking up with the first golden rays of the god Ra, when Egypt was the most prosperous and advanced kingdom in the ancient world. The sweet aroma of lotus flowers spreads through the morning air. The gentle sound of the Nile's waters echoes through the city, and life flows in perfect harmony between the sacred and the everyday. But this is not just another ordinary morning. It's a day in the life of a scribe, guardian of the written word and preserver of eternal wisdom. In the next few hours, we will walk through the polished limestone streets, breathe the air scented by the incense of the temples, feel the soft texture of papyrus between our fingers, and witness the magic of transforming thoughts into eternal hieroglyphs. Come with me on this unique journey through time, where every brushstroke becomes a bridge to eternity, and every preserved word connects the human to the divine. This is the story of a day as a scribe in ancient Egypt, a celebration of wisdom, patience, and the transformative power of the written word that transcends millennia and teaches us about the eternal value of preserved knowledge. If you enjoy stories that relax, inspire, and make you reflect on the beauty of life's contemplative moments, don't forget to subscribe to the channel, leave a like, and hit the notification bell so you never miss anything. Let me know in the comments where you're watching from and what time it is there. And remember, every week, we bring new historical journeys and unique moments waiting to lull you into dreams. Are you ready for this trip to the banks of the eternal Nile? Then, make yourself comfortable, relax, and prepare to immerse yourself in the sacred routine of an ancient Egyptian scribe. The first golden ray of the god Ra gently touches the calm waters of the Nile, creating reflections that dance like tiny liquid diamonds. The morning air still carries the coolness of the night, perfumed with the sweet scent of lotus flowers blooming on the banks of the great river. In the mud brick houses near the palace, scribes slowly awaken, their bodies rested on soft woven reed mats, covered by fine linen sheets woven by the kingdom's most skilled artisans. The morning routine begins with ritual purification, a sacred moment where fresh water from the Nile is poured over hands and face, symbolizing the daily renewal of the spirit. The scribe carefully dons his white linen tunic, a precious material that demonstrates his elevated status in Egyptian society. The fabric is so fine, it seems to float on the skin, providing coolness even under the scorching sun that will soon dominate the turquoise blue desert sky. Bare feet touch the polished stone floor of the house, still cool from the night before. Each step echoes softly through corridors decorated with hieroglyphic paintings that tell stories of gods and pharaohs. The white limestone walls reflect the soft morning light, creating a serene and contemplative atmosphere that prepares the mind for the intellectual workday ahead. Breakfast is simple but nutritious. Still warm barley bread, sweet figs, and golden honey that slowly drips from painted ceramic jars. The sweet taste of honey blends with the earthy aroma of the bread, creating a combination that gradually awakens the senses. A cup of light beer, made from fermented barley, completes the meal, providing energy for the long hours of concentration to come. While eating, the scribe observes through the window the growing movement of the awakening city. Merchants begin to organize their stalls in the market, porters carry amphorae of oil and wine, and the distant sound of artisans' hammers echoes through the stone streets. It is a world in constant motion, but the scribe knows his role is different. He is the guardian of the written word, the preserver of wisdom and history. Mental preparation is as important as physical. A few minutes are dedicated to silent meditation, contemplating the day's responsibilities. The scribe knows that his hands will bring to life the words that will record royal decrees, commercial contracts, love letters, and sacred texts. Every stroke of his pen will be a bridge between the present and eternity, for writing is considered a divine gift from Thoth, the god of wisdom. The sun is already higher when it's time to gather the work instruments. The soft leather bag, tanned with ancestral techniques, is carefully checked. Inside, organized with military precision, are reed brushes of different thicknesses, each chosen for a specific type of writing. The finest for delicate hieroglyphs, the thicker ones for important titles and headings. The limestone palettes, polished until smooth as silk, are cleaned with a damp cloth. On these palettes, the inks will be prepared with the patience of an alchemist. Black ink, made from ground charcoal and gum arabic, for the main text. Red ink, obtained from ochre and iron oxide, for titles, divine names, and important passages. Each colour has its sacred meaning and specific application. The papyri are checked one by one, their smooth surfaces delicately caressed by experienced fingers. Some are new, with the light golden colour of freshly processed fibre. Others are reused, their surfaces carefully scraped to receive new writing. Papyrus is more than a writing material. It is a treasure, as its production is complex and expensive, involving the precise cutting of papyrus stalks, their maceration, and pressing into uniform sheets. Finally, with all instruments organized and mind prepared, the scribe is ready to leave his home and head to the workplace. The morning sun already gently warms the stones of the streets, and the day promises to be productive. Each step towards the palace or temple is taken with the awareness that he carries not just writing instruments, but the tools that shape civilization and preserve wisdom for future generations. The limestone streets still hold the coolness of dawn as the scribe's bare feet tread the familiar path to the royal palace. Each stone was carefully polished and fitted by master builders, creating a smooth surface that softly reflects the golden light of the rising sun. The rhythmic sound of footsteps echoes between the high walls of the buildings, mingling with the distant noises of the awakening city. The soft lowing of cattle being led to pastures, the metallic clink of goldsmiths in their workshops, and the growing murmur of morning conversations. The air carries an intoxicating blend of aromas that define ancient Egypt. The sweet scent of incense burning on domestic altars, the earthy smell of the Nile majestically winding through the city, and the comforting aroma of fresh bread emerging from the mud ovens scattered throughout the neighborhoods. Occasionally, a gentle breeze brings the exotic perfume of spices from distant lands, cinnamon from Nubia, myrrh from Ethiopia, and frankincense from the mysterious land of Punt. The houses lining the path are true architectural masterpieces, their whitewashed walls contrasting beautifully with cedar wood doors carved with floral and geometric motifs. Small inner gardens can be glimpsed through half-open gates, revealing elegant palm trees, fragrant henna bushes, and small artificial ponds where goldfish lazily swim among blue and white lotus flowers. Passing through the morning market, the scribe observes the commercial dance that has unfolded daily for millennia. Nubian merchants display polished ivory and ostrich feathers, while Syrian traders offer fabrics dyed with precious purple and jars of aromatic oil. The bartering system operates with mathematical precision. Sacks of grain are weighed on bronze scales, jars of beer are carefully counted, and rolls of linen are measured with precisely marked wooden rods. Lesser scribes, still apprentices, can be seen carrying their palettes and brushes towards the schools attached to the temples. Their young faces radiate concentration and determination, knowing that each day of study brings them closer to the privileged status that only masters of writing possess. They walk in small groups, whispering among themselves about the previous day's calligraphy exercises and the math lessons that await them. The palace columns begin to appear on the horizon, their majestic forms silhouetted against the clear blue morning sky. Made of pink granite extracted from the quarries of Aswan, each column is an engineering masterpiece, decorated with hieroglyphs narrating the glorious achievements of the reigning pharaoh. The lotus flower, or papyrus leaf-shaped capitals, seem to float in the air, creating an illusion of lightness despite the immense weight of the stone. Tall and imposing Nubian guards watch over the palace gates with polished bronze spears that gleam like mirrors under the sun. Their dark skin contrasts with their white linen tunics, and their watchful eyes observe every movement near the royal complex. Recognizing the scribe, they nod respectfully. They know that the masters of writing are fundamental to the functioning of the kingdom, recording everything from royal decrees to treasure inventories. The palace's inner courtyard is an oasis of tranquility, with geometrically perfect gardens where date palms offer generous shade. Small channels of crystal-clear water cut through the space, fed directly by the Nile through an ingenious system of sluices and aqueducts. The gentle sound of flowing water creates a natural melody that calms the mind and prepares the spirit for the intense intellectual work that characterizes the scribe's profession. Other scribes are already arriving, their footsteps echoing through the polished marble corridors. Respectful greetings are exchanged. A nod here, a kind word there. There is a silent camaraderie among these men who share the sacred gift of writing. A brotherhood based on knowledge and the responsibility to preserve the wisdom of civilization. Each carries not only work instruments, but the honorable weight of being a link between the gods, the pharaoh, and the people. Finally, upon reaching the doors of the royal scriptorium, the scribe pauses to contemplate the magnitude of his responsibility. Today, like every day, his hands will shape words that can alter destinies, record history, or preserve sacred knowledge. The sun is already high enough to perfectly illuminate the work tables, and the day promises to be full of discoveries, creations, and the deep satisfaction that comes from exercising one of ancient Egypt's most respected and necessary professions. The royal scriptorium slowly awakens with the arrival of the first sunbeams penetrating the high windows, creating golden shafts of light that dance upon the polished ebony work tables. The atmosphere is imbued with an almost sacred aura, where silence is broken only by the soft murmur of morning prayers and the delicate sound of instruments being carefully arranged. The white limestone walls are adorned with colourful hieroglyphs, invoking the protection of Thoth, the ibis god of wisdom and writing, whose painted eyes seem to benevolently observe every movement of the scribes. The first task of the day is the meticulous preparation of the inks, a ritual demanding patience and an almost alchemical precision. The scribe takes small ceramic containers from his leather bag, holding the precious pigments. Finely ground charcoal for black ink, red ochre for important passages, and occasionally, for special texts, gold dust that will shine eternally on the sacred pages. Each pigment is treated with reverence, for it represents not just a color, but an aspect of divine creation. Gum arabic, extracted from desert acacias, is slowly dissolved in pure Nile water, creating a viscous, translucent liquid that will serve as a binder for the pigments. The process is meditative. Small drops of water are gradually added while the mixture is stirred with a polished ivory stick until it reaches the perfect consistency, neither too liquid, which would run off the papyrus, nor too thick, which would clog the delicate brushes. The reed brushes, cut from the sacred banks of the Nile, are examined one by one with the attention of a jeweler inspecting precious gems. Each tip is delicately tested against the palm of the hand, checking its flexibility and ink-holding capacity. The finest brushes, made from young reed stalks, are reserved for delicate hieroglyphs and intricate details. The thicker ones, from mature reeds, will serve for titles and headings that must impress with their grandeur. The limestone palette, smooth as a water mirror, is carefully cleaned with a dampened linen cloth. This surface will be the altar where colors come to life, where each shade will be mixed with the precision of a master perfumer, creating a unique fragrance. Small circular depressions in the stone will receive the different inks, keeping them separate and pure, ready to be brought to life by the skilled brushes. The papyrus chosen for the day's work is unrolled with reverence onto the table, its intertwined fibers telling the story of its creation in the specialized workshops of the Delta. The golden smooth surface invites touch, but the scribe resists, knowing that finger oils can stain the material's purity. Instead, he passes his hand a few centimeters above the surface, feeling the texture through the air, like a musician tuning his instrument before an important performance. The cedar wood ruler, marked with mathematical precision, is carefully positioned to ensure that text lines are perfectly straight and uniformly spaced. Each mark on the ruler represents not just a measurement, but a standard of beauty and order that reflects the cosmic harmony Egyptians see in all things. Disordered writing is considered not only ugly, but an offense to the gods who created the universe with geometric perfection. The bronze inkwell, polished until it shines like gold, is positioned to the right of the table, at an angle that allows easy access without risk of spilling. Inside it, black ink rests like a small dark lake, its mirrored surface reflecting the scribe's concentrated face. This ink will carry words that can last millennia, preserving thoughts and knowledge long after their creators have joined their ancestors in the realm of Osiris. A small container of clean water is placed on the left side, intended for cleaning brushes between different colors. The water, sacred like the Nile itself, symbolizes purification and renewal. Each dip of the brush into this water is like a baptism, preparing it to receive a new color, a new idea, a new life in the words that will be born. Finally, with all instruments organized in perfect harmony, the scribe offers a brief silent prayer to Thoth, asking for inspiration and precision for the work about to begin. His hands, ritually washed in sacred water, are ready to bring words to life. The morning sun perfectly illuminates the work table, creating ideal conditions for the magic of writing to manifest once more, perpetuating the millennial tradition that makes scribes the guardians of the wisdom and memory of Egyptian civilization. The first hieroglyph of the day slowly emerges under the delicate tip of the reed brush, like a lotus flower blooming on the calm waters of the Nile. The scribe holds the instrument with the lightness of one caressing an ibis feather, allowing the black ink to flow naturally over the golden surface of the papyrus. Each stroke is a dance between mind, hand, and spirit, a sacred choreography that transforms abstract thoughts into eternal symbols that will survive centuries and dynasties. The concentration required for this art is deep and meditative, similar to the trance state of priests during temple rituals. The outside world gradually fades away. The distant sounds of the palace, the movement of linen curtains in the windows, even the sensation of time dissolves into the purity of the creative moment. There is only the scribe, the papyrus, and the sacred word taking shape through symbols that are simultaneously image, sound, and meaning. The hieroglyph of the falcon, representing the god Horus, emerges majestically under the precise strokes of the brush. Each feather is drawn individually. Each curve of the beak reflects the divine perfection that Egyptian artists seek to capture. The scribe intimately knows the anatomy of this sacred bird, having spent years observing the falcons that fly over the Nile, studying their movements, their proportions, the way the sunlight plays on their golden feathers. Red ink is introduced to highlight important elements of the text, creating a visual contrast that guides the reader's eye through the hieroglyphic narrative. This color, extracted from the sacred ochre of the desert mountains, carries within it the power of the rising sun and the blood of life. When applied to the names of gods or words of power, it transforms simple symbols into portals to the divine, bridges between the earthly world and the realm of the immortals. The rhythm of writing is like controlled breathing, each symbol flowing naturally into the next in a harmonious sequence that reflects cosmic order. There is no rush in this sacred process. Speed is sacrificed in favor of perfection. For every poorly formed hieroglyph is considered a disharmony that can affect the magical power of the text. The scribe learned from a young age that patience is the greatest virtue of his profession, and that haste is the enemy of eternity. Animal symbols come to special life under the experienced brush. Thoth's ibis with its elegantly curved beak, the sacred scarab with its delicately articulated legs, the urea serpent with its geometrically perfect scales. Each creature represents not just a sound or concept, but a force of nature, an aspect of divine creation that must be honored through perfect artistic representation. Sacred plants also find their place in writing. The lotus flower symbolizing rebirth, the papyrus representing Lower Egypt, the palm tree offering life in the desert. The scribe intimately knows each of these plants, having grown up observing them in the palace gardens and on the banks of the Nile. Their hieroglyphic representations are not mere artistic conventions, but faithful portraits based on direct observation of nature. Sacred geometry governs every aspect of hieroglyphic writing. The proportions of the symbols follow precise mathematical rules that reflect universal harmony. An eye of Horus must have exactly the correct proportions to maintain its protective power. An ankh must perfectly balance its horizontal and vertical elements to adequately symbolize eternal life. These are not arbitrary rules, but cosmic laws manifested through art. Between the hieroglyphs, small spaces of golden papyrus breathe like musical pauses, allowing each symbol to maintain its individual identity while contributing to the harmony of the whole. The scribe learned that emptiness is as important as fullness, that silence between words is as sacred as the words themselves. This understanding transforms each page into a balanced and spiritually powerful visual composition. When an error threatens to appear, a slightly crooked stroke, an imperfect proportion, the scribe immediately stops, breathes deeply, and reconnects with the necessary meditative state. There are no erasers or correctors in the ancient world. Every mark is permanent. Every decision is final. This absolute responsibility elevates hieroglyphic writing beyond a simple technique, transforming it into a spiritual discipline that develops character, patience, and connection with the divine through the pursuit of earthly perfection. The royal scroll unrolls majestically upon the ebony table, its premium papyrus surface gleaming like liquid gold under the filtered light entering through the high windows of the scriptorium. This is no ordinary papyrus. Its fibers were selected from the finest plants of the delta, processed by the most skilled artisans, and polished to a smoothness that rivals the finest silk. The scribe feels the weight of responsibility in his hands, for this document will carry the words of the pharaoh himself, son of Ra, lord of the two lands. The royal decree to be transcribed arrived in the morning, brought by a royal messenger whose sandals still bore the golden dust of the paths leading to the main palace. The pharaoh's words, dictated to the court scribes, speak of new laws for trade on the Nile, regulations that will affect merchants from the cataracts of Aswan to the ports of the delta. Every word was carefully weighed by the royal council, for the pharaoh's decisions echo through the kingdom like waves on the sacred river. The golden ink, reserved exclusively for documents of supreme importance, is prepared with almost religious reverence. True gold dust, extracted from the mines of Nubia, is mixed with gum arabic and holy water from the temples of Ptah. This ink not only beautifies the document, it transforms it into a sacred object, imbued with the divine power emanating from the pharaoh. When dry, it will shine eternally, resisting time like the immortality of the gods themselves. The decree's heading receives special treatment. The royal cartouche, containing the pharaoh's sacred names, is drawn with mathematical precision. Each hieroglyph within the cartouche is a miniaturized work of art, executed with brushes so fine they seem to have been made with a single strand of hair. The pharaoh's birth name and coronation name intertwine in visual harmony, surrounded by the magical rope that protects the royal identity against malevolent forces. The opening formulas follow millennia-old traditions. Long live Horus, mighty bull, beloved of Ra, king of Upper and Lower Egypt, lord of the two lands, son of Ra. Each title is laden with cosmic meaning, connecting the pharaoh to the gods and legitimizing his divine authority. The scribe knows these formulas by heart, yet still writes them with the same concentration as one seeing them for the first time, for repetition does not diminish their sacredness. The body of the decree flows in perfectly aligned columns, each line a demonstration of discipline and technical skill. The words regulating trade are interspersed with invocations to Egypt's protective gods: Ptah, patron of artisans; Hathor, lady of gold; and Sobek, guardian of the Nile's waters. This is not merely civil legislation, but a document that recognizes the divine presence in all aspects of Egyptian life. Damp clay seals await on the sides of the table, each engraved with different symbols of authority. The main seal bears the image of the pharaoh as a sphinx, trampling Egypt's enemies. Smaller seals show the emblems of the nomes, provinces, that will be affected by the decree. When pressed onto the hot wax that will be poured over the folded document, these seals will transform the papyrus into an inviolable legal instrument. The language used in royal decrees possesses a special cadence, a rhythm that echoes the sacred formulas of the temples. Each phrase is constructed with poetic parallelisms that facilitate memorization and lend dignity to the text. As Ra sails through the heavens, so shall trade sail on the Nile. As the stars follow their eternal courses, so shall merchants follow the established laws. This elevated language transforms practical legislation into sacred literature. Assistant scribes work silently at adjacent tables, preparing copies of the decree to be sent to provincial governors. Each copy must be identical to the original, not only in content, but in appearance. A calligraphy error could be interpreted as disrespect for royal authority. The work is coordinated like a silent symphony, where each scribe perfectly knows their role in preserving and disseminating the pharaoh's divine will. When the last hieroglyph is completed and the golden ink dries under the soft afternoon light, the document transcends its material nature. It is no longer just papyrus and ink, but an extension of the royal presence itself, a fragment of the cosmic order that the pharaoh represents on earth. The scribe contemplates his work with deep satisfaction, knowing that his hands have helped weave another thread into the complex tapestry that keeps Egyptian civilization united and prosperous under the protection of the eternal gods. The sweet aroma of myrrh incense gently wafts through the scriptorium as the scribe dedicates himself to the delicate task of drafting commercial correspondences that will connect Egypt to distant kingdoms beyond the desert borders. On his table, letters arrived from faraway lands await translation and response. Scrolls from Mesopotamia with their angular cuneiform script, papyri from Byblos with elegant Phoenician characters, and clay tablets from Hatti with mysterious Hittite hieroglyphs. Each document represents a cultural bridge, a link in the golden chain of trade that enriches the pharaoh's kingdom. The first letter to be answered comes from a Phoenician merchant from Tyre, interested in exchanging precious cedar wood for Nubian gold and Egyptian linen. The scribe dips his brush in black ink and begins to formulate the reply with the refined diplomacy that characterizes Egyptian commercial correspondence. Each word is carefully chosen, balancing courtesy with firmness, generosity with commercial prudence. May the gods grant life, prosperity, and health to the noble merchant of Tyre. The traditional greeting immediately sets the respectful tone of the communication. Commercial contracts demand absolute mathematical precision, as any ambiguity can result in disputes that extend for generations. The scribe uses a standardized system of measurements that is recognized throughout the Mediterranean world. The royal cubit for textiles, the hecat for grains, the daben for precious metals. Each measurement is accompanied by specific hieroglyphic symbols that eliminate any possibility of misunderstanding, even when the document is translated into other languages. A particularly complex contract involves the importation of spices from the mysterious land of Punt, located beyond the Red Sea. The document specifies not only quantities and prices, but also the purification rituals that must accompany the transport of the sacred spices, as many of them will be used in temples to honor the gods. The scribe includes detailed clauses about the divine protection of the cargo, invoking Hathor, Lady of Foreign Lands, to bless the commercial journey. Red ink is used to highlight clauses of particular importance, penalties for delayed delivery, procedures for dispute resolution, and invocations to the gods as witnesses to the agreements. This sacred color transforms simple legal text into a ritually powerful document, for Egyptians believe that contracts written in red carry the authority of life's own blood, becoming unbreakable before gods and men. Cylindrical seals from different regions are carefully examined and catalogued. Each seal tells a story. The winged lion of Babylon, the sacred tree of Assyria, the bull of Crete. The scribe must know not only the meaning of these symbols, but also their authenticity, as forgeries are common in the world of international trade. His expertise in identifying genuine seals protects Egypt from fraud and maintains the integrity of commercial relations. Commercial routes are mentally mapped as the scribe works, visualizing the caravans that will cross scorching deserts, the ships that will sail stormy seas, and the merchants who will face countless dangers to honor the contracts his hands are creating. Each document is a seed of adventure, a starting point for epic journeys that will connect cultures and enrich civilizations. Personal correspondences between merchants reveal more human aspects of international trade. Family letters, concerns about the health of distant relatives, descriptions of exotic customs observed in foreign lands. The scribe translates these passages with special sensitivity, understanding that he preserves not only commercial information, but fragments of human experience that transcend borders and eras. Commercial mathematics flows naturally through exchange calculations, currency conversions, and profit estimates. The Egyptian decimal system, based on powers of 10, facilitates complex operations involving multiple currencies and measurement systems. Each calculation is checked twice, as mathematical errors in international contracts can result in devastating financial losses or diplomatic conflicts. When the afternoon sun casts long shadows through the scriptorium windows, the scribe contemplates the pile of completed correspondences with deep satisfaction. His hands have helped weave the commercial network that keeps Egypt prosperous and connected to the world. Each letter sent will carry a bit of Egyptian wisdom to distant lands, while each signed contract will bring foreign riches and knowledge to enrich the civilization of the Nile. It is a work that transcends the merely commercial, becoming a form of cultural diplomacy that promotes peace and prosperity through mutual understanding. A sacred silence envelops the scriptorium, like an invisible cloak, when it's time to work with the most revered texts of Egyptian civilization. The scribe purifies his hands a second time that day, this time with water scented with lotus petals, for he will touch words that directly connect the world of the living to the eternal realm of Osiris. The papyrus chosen for this task is of supreme quality, its fibers so finely interwoven that the surface appears like golden silk, worthy of bearing the words that will guide souls through the journey to eternal life. The Book of the Dead, with its powerful enchantments and magical illustrations, requires not only technical skill, but also spiritual purity from the scribe. Each formula is a key that will open doors in the afterlife, each hieroglyph a talisman that will protect the deceased against the dangers of the duat, the underworld. The scribe knows the weight of his responsibility. An error in his calligraphy can condemn a soul to eternal perdition, while perfection can ensure blessed immortality. Golden ink flows like liquid honey through the finest brush, creating hieroglyphs that shine with their own light on the papyrus. The words of power, "I am yesterday, I know tomorrow," slowly emerge, each symbol laden with cosmic meaning. The scribe feels a deep connection with the ancestral scribes who, millennia ago, transcribed these same sacred words, creating an unbroken chain of wisdom that links the present to eternity. The illustrations accompanying the texts demand absolute artistic precision. The heart being weighed on Mart's scale must have exact proportions, for it represents the crucial moment of final judgment. The ostrich feather of the goddess of truth must be drawn with each individual barbule, symbolizing the moral perfection necessary for eternal life. Anubis, the jackal god, observes the process with eyes that must convey both justice and compassion. The names of the deceased are written within special cartouches, protected by magical symbols that ensure the person's identity will remain intact through eternity. Each letter of the name is an anchor that keeps the soul connected to its individuality, preventing it from dissolving into the cosmic ocean of existence. The scribe silently pronounces each name as he writes it, giving it life through the sacred vibration of the spoken word. Formulas of protection are interspersed throughout the text like precious jewels on a golden necklace. May my name be remembered. May my form be preserved. may my shadow not be destroyed. These words echo through the centuries, carrying the universal human desire to transcend mortality. The scribe understands that he is participating in a sacred mystery, helping to weave the golden thread that connects earthly life to eternal existence. The colors used in funerary texts possess specific meanings that must be rigorously respected. Blue represents the eternal sky where souls will navigate like stars. Green symbolizes rebirth, like plants sprouting after the Nile's inundation. Red evokes the power of life that pulsates through all things. Each color is prepared with sacred ingredients and applied with ritual reverence. Prayers to the funerary gods flow through the papyrus like a river of devotion. Osiris, Lord of the Dead, is invoked with majestic titles that celebrate his triumph over death. Isis, the great magician, is supplicated to extend her maternal protection over the deceased. Nephthys, Lady of Mourning, is called upon to guide the soul through the darkness of transformation. Each invocation is a bridge of light that connects the material world to the spiritual realm. Working with sacred texts transforms the scribe into a channel for divine forces. His hand becomes the instrument through which ancestral wisdom flows into the present. His mind the receptacle that preserves knowledge, transcending common human understanding. It is a work that demands not only technical skill, but also spiritual development, for only those who comprehend the mysteries of life and death can adequately transmit them. When the last sacred hieroglyph is completed, and the golden ink dries under the soft afternoon light, the papyrus transforms into something more than a document. It becomes a map to eternity, a passport to immortality. The scribe contemplates his work with profound humility, knowing that his hands have helped create a bridge between the temporal and the eternal, between the human and the divine. It is a privilege few mortals share, a responsibility that elevates the scribe's profession beyond the merely technical, transforming it into a priesthood dedicated to the preservation of the human soul through the sacred written word. The midday sun casts its golden light through the high windows of the scriptorium, when it's time to perform the complex calculations that keep the kingdom running with mathematical precision. On the workbench, an abacus of ebony and ivory awaits beside papyri covered with hieroglyphic numbers, while small limestone pebbles serve as counters for operations involving astronomical quantities of royal wealth. The scribe breathes deeply, preparing his mind to delve into the abstract world of numbers, where every calculation can affect the destiny of thousands of the pharaoh's subjects. The royal treasury inventories arrive in papyrus scrolls sealed with red wax, each representing a different chamber of the palace's vast underground reserves. Gold from Nubia, silver from distant lands, precious stones from the eastern desert mines. Every item must be counted, weighed, and recorded with absolute accuracy. The scribe uses the Egyptian decimal system, where specific hieroglyphic symbols represent units, tens, hundreds, and thousands, creating a notation method that allows complex calculations with impressive visual clarity. The first inventory to be processed lists the gold offerings received from provincial governors during the last month. Each entry specifies not only the weight in debens, the standard Egyptian unit equivalent to approximately 91 grams, but also the metal's purity, its geographical origin, and the specific purpose for which it will be used. Gold destined for temples receives special classification, as it will be transformed into sacred objects that must maintain absolute ritual purity. The accounts of Red Sea pearls require particularly delicate calculations, as their value varies drastically based on size, shape, and luster. The scribe uses a complex conversion table that relates these physical characteristics to monetary values, creating an evaluation system recognized by merchants from Nubia to Phoenicia. Each pearl is described individually, round as the full moon, bright as Isis tear, the size of a ripe grape, transforming arid inventory into descriptive poetry. The calculations of provincial taxes flow through mathematical operations that demonstrate the sophistication of the Egyptian administrative system. Each nome, province, contributes a specific percentage of its agricultural production, calculated based on the height of the Nile's inundation, the quality of the soil, and the local population. The scribe must consider complex variables: drought years that reduce contributive capacity, religious festivals that consume local resources, and construction projects that require additional labor. Egyptian fractions, expressed as sums of unit fractions, are used for precise calculations of distributions and apportionments. The system, though complex for modern minds, allows Egyptian scribes to perform sophisticated mathematical operations with conceptual elegance: 1/3 plus 1/5 plus 1/15. These expressions flow naturally through the calculations, demonstrating a mathematical understanding that rivals later civilizations. The records of grain stored in the royal granaries require mathematical projections extending into future years. The scribe must calculate not only current quantities, but also estimate future consumption based on population growth, military needs for planned campaigns, and emergency reserves for famine years. These calculations involve complex geometric progressions that test the limits of Egyptian mathematics. Inventories of textiles reveal the complexity of the Egyptian textile economy. Linen of different qualities, from coarse used by laborers to silk fine reserved for royalty, must be catalogued separately. The scribe records not only quantities, but also widths, lengths, and weaving patterns, creating a textile database that allows precise planning for festivals, ceremonies, and military needs. The royal crown jewels require descriptions that combine mathematical precision with artistic sensibility. Each precious stone is measured, weighed, and described in detail that would allow its identification even centuries later. Emerald green as the deep waters of the Nile, weighing 2 debons and 3 kites, set in pure gold with lapis lazuli inlays, forming the royal cartouche. These descriptions preserve not only material value, but also artistic beauty. Salary calculations for the thousands of royal employees demonstrate the complexity of Egyptian public administration. Each professional category, from scribes to soldiers, from priests to artisans, receives compensation based on mathematical formulas that consider experience, responsibility, and strategic importance. The scribe must balance social justice with budgetary limitations, creating a payment system that maintains social harmony while preserving the kingdom's financial stability. When the last calculations are completed and double-checked to ensure absolute accuracy, the scribe contemplates the columns of numbers that represent Egypt's wealth and power. Each numerical hieroglyph is a cell in the complex organism of the royal economy. Each calculation a neuron in the mathematical mind that governs the most prosperous kingdom of the ancient world. It is a work that combines technical skill with civic responsibility, transforming abstract numbers into concrete tools for the well-being of an entire civilization. Shadows begin to lengthen across the scriptorium as the sun of Ra begins its descent towards the golden horizon, painting the limestone walls with soft hues of amber and rose. The scribe feels the satisfying weight of a productive day on his shoulders as he contemplates the workbench covered with the fruits of his hours of concentration: completed papyri bearing royal decrees, commercial contracts that will connect civilizations, and sacred texts that will guide souls through eternity. It is the sacred moment of final organization, when each document must find its appropriate place in the archives that will preserve wisdom for future generations. The first twilight ritual is the meticulous cleaning of the writing instruments, a process that transcends mere maintenance to become a meditation on the transient nature of daily work and the permanence of preserved wisdom. Each reed brush is carefully washed in clean water, its delicate bristles gently massaged to remove all traces of ink. The scribe observes how the water gradually stains black and red, carrying with it the colors that gave life to the day's words. The limestone palettes are polished until they regain their original luster, their smooth surfaces reflecting the golden light of dusk like small mirrors. Each circular depression where the inks rested is cleaned with surgical precision, as dried ink residues could contaminate the next day's colors. This purification process prepares the instruments not only physically, but spiritually, renewing their capacity to serve as channels for the expression of divine wisdom. The completed papyri are organized according to a classification system that reflects the Egyptian cosmic hierarchy. Royal documents, imbued with the pharaoh's divine authority, occupy the place of honor at the top of the pile. Sacred texts, which connect the earthly world to the realm of the gods, are placed second. Commercial contracts and correspondences, though important for the practical functioning of society, occupy subsequent positions in the documentary hierarchy. This organization is not merely practical, but reflects the cosmic order that governs all Egyptian existence. Each document receives an identifying label written in hieratic, the cursive form of hieroglyphs used for administrative documents. These labels function as maps that will guide future scribes through the labyrinths of knowledge stored in the royal archives. Date of creation, author, recipient, and subject are recorded with precision that will allow quick retrieval even decades later. The scribe understands that he is creating not only documents, but also the system that will allow their future preservation and use. The papyrus scrolls are carefully wrapped in fine linen fabric, protecting them from moisture, dust, and insects that could damage the delicate fibers over the years. Each bundle is tied with braided papyrus cords and sealed with wax scented with myrrh, a resin that, in addition to its pleasant aroma, possesses preservative properties that will help preserve the documents through the centuries. The packaging process is ritualistic, each movement executed with appropriate reverence for objects that carry fragments of eternal wisdom. The Royal Archive, located in specially constructed underground chambers to maintain constant temperature and humidity, awaits the day's documents like a temple awaits sacred offerings. Cedar wood shelves, chosen for their insect-repelling properties, extend from floor to ceiling in organized rows reminiscent of temple columns. Each section is dedicated to a specific type of document, creating a living library that grows daily with the contributions of scribes from across the kingdom. The light of perfumed oil torches dances on the walls decorated with hieroglyphs that invoke Thoth's protection over the stored knowledge. These are not mere decorations, but active enchantments that create a field of spiritual protection around the documents. The scribe whispers a silent prayer to the ibis god as he places his papyri on the appropriate shelves, asking that the preserved wisdom continue to serve the good of Egypt through the ages. The archive register, a master document that catalogues all stored papyri, receives the day's entries with especially careful calligraphy. Each line represents not only a document, but a fragment of history in the making. The scribe knows that future historians will consult this register to understand his era, making each entry a message for posterity. The responsibility is immense. His words can influence how his civilization will be remembered for centuries to come. Fellow scribes begin to gather in the central courtyard of the administrative complex, their low voices creating a soft murmur that echoes among the granite columns. Conversations about the day's work are exchanged with the camaraderie of artisans who share a sacred vocation. Experiences are shared, techniques discussed, and challenges faced are transformed into lessons that will benefit the entire scribal community. The sun finally touches the horizon, transforming the sky into a tapestry of colors that rivals the most beautiful temple paintings. The scribe pauses to contemplate this divine masterpiece, recognizing in it the same harmony and beauty he seeks to capture in his own art. The transition from day to night symbolizes the constant transformation that characterizes existence. Thoughts become words, words become symbols, symbols become eternity. With instruments cleaned, documents archived, and records updated, the scribe feels the deep satisfaction of one who has fulfilled his sacred duty. His hands have helped weave a few more threads into the complex tapestry of Egyptian civilization, his words contributing to the preservation of wisdom that will illuminate future generations. The workday ends, but the work continues, in the words that will survive centuries, in the knowledge that will transcend mortality, in the wisdom that connects the present to eternity through the eternal magic of the written word. Khonsu's crescent moon begins to emerge in the violet twilight sky as the scribe starts his journey home. his bare feet gently touching the stones, still warm from the day's heat. The night air carries different fragrances than those of the morning. The intense scent of jasmine flowers that bloom only after sunset, the comforting aroma of food being prepared in Egyptian homes, and the cool breeze blowing from the Nile, bringing with it the promise of renewal that each night offers. The streets, once bustling with daytime commerce, now assume a more contemplative rhythm, suitable for reflections on the day that is ending. Oil lamps begin to glow in the windows of houses, creating small, earthly constellations that echo the stars gradually appearing in the firmament. Each light represents a family gathered, stories being told, children learning about the gods and ancestral heroes. The scribe walks slowly, savoring these transitional moments when the world prepares for restorative rest. His eyes, tired from hours of focusing on tiny hieroglyphs, relax as he contemplates the soft shapes of palm trees silhouetted against the starry sky. The distant sound of music floats through the night air, a reed flute playing ancient melodies passed down through generations, accompanied by the gentle rhythm of goatskin drums. These songs are not mere entertainment, but expressions of the Egyptian soul that connect the present to ancestors, the earthly to the divine. The scribe allows the melodies to penetrate his consciousness, washing away the day's tensions and preparing his spirit for regenerative rest. His home gradually appears in the growing twilight, its whitewashed walls glowing softly under the moonlight. The inner garden exhales nocturnal fragrances, lotus flowers closing their petals until the next dawn, aromatic herbs releasing their essential oils into the cool night air. A small artificial fountain murmurs softly, its sound recalling the eternal waters of the Nile that nourish all life in Egypt. It is a personal sanctuary where the scribe can process the day's experiences and spiritually prepare for tomorrow's challenges. The evening meal is simple but satisfying. Fresh bread, creamy goat cheese, sweet dates, and a cup of red wine from the Delta vineyards. Each flavor is consciously savored, a gastronomic meditation that connects the scribe to the natural cycles that sustain life. The wine, in particular, carries within it the essence of the Egyptian land, the fertile soil deposited by the Nile's floods, the generous sun that ripens the grapes, the skilled work of vintners who transform fruit into nectar. After the meal, the scribe takes his personal papyri from a cedarwood chest. Not official documents, but intimate reflections, poems dedicated to the gods, observations on human and divine nature. Writing for oneself is different from writing for the state or the temples. It is a silent conversation with one's own soul, an exploration of internal mysteries that mirror the cosmic mysteries governing the universe. The soft light of an oil lamp illuminates the pages as thoughts transform into words, words into symbols, symbols into bridges to understanding. The stars, now shining in all their glory in the dark sky, are contemplated as a celestial text written by the gods themselves. Each constellation tells a story. Each planetary movement reveals aspects of divine will. The scribe, trained to read earthly symbols, naturally extends this skill to reading celestial symbols. Orion, identified with Osiris, majestically sails through the night sky, reminding that even death is merely a transformation, not an end. Preparation for sleep is ritualistic, ablution with water scented with rose petals, whispered prayers to the protective gods of the home, and the careful organization of writing instruments for the next day. Each action is performed with full awareness, transforming routine into ritual, habit into sacrament. The scribe understands that even the simplest acts can be elevated to the category of spiritual practices when executed with intention and reverence. Lying on his reed mat, covered by fine linen sheets woven by the skilled hands of local artisans, the scribe allows his mind to review the day's events. Each document created, each word preserved, each piece of knowledge transmitted is revisited, not with anxiety, but with profound gratitude for having been chosen to serve as a channel of divine wisdom. His dreams, when they finally arrive, are populated by hieroglyphs dancing like living beings, papyri unrolling to reveal cosmic secrets, and the benevolent presence of Thoth blessing his work. The The daily cycle completes itself in the quietude of the Egyptian night, but it is only one turn on the eternal wheel of existence. Tomorrow will bring new challenges, new documents to create, new wisdom to preserve. The scribe sleeps deeply, his body resting while his spirit prepares for another day of sacred service to the civilization that flourished on the banks of the eternal Nile. His hands, temporarily at rest, dream of the hieroglyphs they will create when Ra's sun rises again, continuing the eternal work of connecting the human to the divine through the imperishable magic of the written word. As the stars silently witness another day in the life of an ancient Egyptian scribe, we are invited to reflect on the transformative power of the written word and its ability to transcend time. These guardians of wisdom, with their skilled hands and disciplined minds, did not merely record information. They wove the golden threads that connected the present to eternity, preserving knowledge that would illuminate civilizations for millennia. The meticulous routine we have followed reveals a profound truth about the nature of meaningful work. When executed with reverence and precision, even the most technical tasks transform into sacred acts. Each carefully drawn hieroglyph was a materialized prayer, each document a bridge between the material world and the realm of the spirit. The scribes intuitively understood that their words possessed creative power, the ability to shape reality through the precise expression of thought. In our digital age, where information is created and destroyed with dizzying speed, there is something deeply comforting in the contemplative patience of these artisans of the word. They teach us that true communication requires time, attention, and a reverence for the act of preserving knowledge. Every papyrus was treated as a treasure, every word carefully weighed before being entrusted to the eternity of the written text. The privileged status of scribes in Egyptian society reflects a civilizational understanding of the fundamental value of education and cultural preservation. In an era when most of the population was illiterate, these men served as guardians of collective memory, living librarians who kept accessible the wisdom accumulated over generations. Their work demonstrates that knowledge is truly power, but a power that must be exercised with responsibility and dedication to the common good. The intimate connection between writing and spirituality in ancient Egypt reminds us that human communication is, in its essence, a sacred act. When we transform thoughts into words, and words into permanent symbols, we participate in the divine creative process that gave rise to the universe through the spoken word. Egyptian scribes understood this mystical dimension of their work, treating every act of writing as a collaboration with the cosmic forces that govern existence. Perhaps the most touching aspect of this journey is the humanity that shines through the professional routine. These scribes were not just efficient functionaries, but complete human beings who found deep meaning in their work, beauty in its precision, and purpose in their contribution to civilizational continuity. They show us that it is possible to transform any profession into a sacred vocation when executed with consciousness, skill, and dedication to the greater good. As we contemplate the legacy of these masters of the written word, we are inspired to approach our own work, whatever its nature, with the same reverence and attention to detail. In every email we write, every document we create, every idea we preserve, we carry the ancestral responsibility to contribute to the great human conversation that extends across centuries, connecting past, present, and future through the eternal magic of conscious communication.